Good day, sir. I am Jessica Nui Imbati, BS Criminology 3, Section B. And now I will going to report the Chapter 1, Introduction. Forensic Chemistry. So what is forensic chemistry? So, forensic chemistry is defined as a branch of chemistry which deals with application of chemical principles in the solution of crimes. Like the other forensic sciences, forensic chemistry plays a very important part in speedy investigation and in the administration of justice. It is well settled that this science has an advantage over extracted confusions, eyewitness, and other circumstantial evidence. Thus, it is regarded as the highest form of uncountable and conclusive piece of evidence with utmost legal significance. So, forensic chemistry is defined as that branch of chemistry which deals with application of chemical forensic chemistry, and it is very important in terms of investigation for identifying an examination that arises in connection with the administration of justice. So forensic chemistry is the science that deals application chemistry of chemistry in the identification of evidence, its physical and chemical properties. On the other hand, forensic toxicology deals with examination of human internal organs, food samples, and water, and gastric contents for the purpose of detecting the presence of poisoners, its dosage effects, and treatment. So that is the forensic chemistry. So next is practice of forensic chemistry. So there are four work of forensic chemist is divided into four stages. So first is collection of reception of the specimen. The proper collection, preservation, and transportation of specimen are essential in the investigation of crime. Hence, whenever possible, the chemist should personally collect all the specimen necessary for examination. So, in collection of the specimen to be examined, in this factor, collection of reception of specimen, this is the proper collecting, preservation, and transportation of specimens are essential in investigation of crime. This is very important or essential in the collecting specimen that the chemist should be one who will collect the specimen sample. So that is the collection of reception of specimen. In the collection of the specimen to be examined, there are factors must be considered when collecting specimen for examination. So first is sufficiency sample. As much as possible, the investigator should collect sufficient amount of specimen for examination. This will make the chemist confident that in case of doubtful result, he or she can still have enough sample to repeat or to proceed to the proceeding examination. So, insufficient of samples, the investigators must collect sufficient amount of specimen for examination to secure if there is a doubtful result, so that the chemist can have or can still repeat the sample of examination for before he or she proceed to the court. So that is the sufficient sample. And the next factor is standard of comparison. So, when the evidence in the question is located in order in or added with a foreign substance, a sample such as foreign with substance must be submitted for analysis. For substance, if blood is found on linoleum, a sample of the essential linoleum must be submitted together with the stained portion. A genuine sample must be submitted for comparison. So standard for comparison, this is the time that it should be submitted for analysis. Those samples and the genuine sample must be submitted also to the comparison, and those samples must be realistic. And then the next factor is maintenance of individuality. So each piece of evidence must be collected and preserved as a separate sample. There must be no mixing or intermingling of specimens collected from different locations, as well as those of standard specimens. So, maintenance of individuality, it means in every piece of evidence must be collected and preserved as separate sample. So, it could be real, no mixing or intermingling of specimen. So that is the maintenance of individuality. And next is labeling and sealing. So labeling and sealing, it is a well-settled rule that evidence will have no value in court in spite of the good report of the expert if the specimen cannot be identified by reason in improper labeling. So labeling and sealing. In every evidence, it must have proper report with proper labeling so that it could be accepted in court. And every evidence must have complete information concerning the nature and source of the sample, with date and time collection, case number, if any, name of the person collecting the sample. So that is labeling and sealing. It means complete and proper information must there. And next is actual examination of the specimen. The first step, so in the actual examination of the specimens, there are 3 steps. So the first step in the examination of article is to scrutinize it carefully and write down in the laboratory logbook record book a complete description of the internal appearance, including the manner in which it is secured and particulars of the sealing. If possible, take a photograph of the appearance. Take a photograph of the specimen, including the inner wrappings, and take note its description. A detailed description of the appearance of the contents of the package should be noted and recorded. All wrappers should be kept and preserved, since questions concerning it may be raised in a court during trial. So this first step in the examination, it could be scrutinize it carefully and write down all description and details of internal description. So that is the first step. It could be scrutinized and list down all the description and details in internal description. The second step, In the examination, it measure or weigh the object, and all measurements and weight should be entered in laboratory logbook record book. The specimens should then be placed in the proper container or wrapper and must be kept in proper evidence room. So in the second step, the examination is measure weights should be entered in laboratory logbook or record book, and all specimen must be have proper container and proper wrapper and have own room, or it will be placed in the proper room. So that is the second step. And the third step is the third step is the laboratory examination, which consists of the chemical, physical, and confirmatory tests. So it means the third step examination, which consists of the chemical, physical, and confirmatory tests. When we talk about confirmatory, confirm, it should be confirmed. Confirmatory tests. Okay? And the next is communication of the result of the examination. The results of examination conduct should be communicated with the requesting party in the form of written report, which must be include an enumeration of facts on the specimen received for examination with detailed description of the packaging, sealing, labeling, date of receipt, and from whom it was received, the purpose of the examination, the finding, and the conclusion. So in communication of the result of the examination, it is the result of the examination conducted should be communicated with the requesting party with written report, include the enumeration of facts on the specimen received for examination. This is the complete detailed description of the packaging, sealing, and labeling with date of receipt and from whom it was received, and the purpose of examination with finding and conclusion. So that is the communication of the result of the examination. And then the next is court appearance. The written report of the forensic chemist is usually supplemented by testimonial evidence in alert date if the case is brought to court or the fiscal office. Since the testimonial evidence must be given weeks, months, or even years after the examination and the written report have been made, it is not only permissible but indispensable that the chemist should refresh his or her memory by referring to his laboratory record book before presenting himself in court. So, in court appearance, the chemist must be prepared, fully prepared to refresh his laboratory, because we know that in investigation or in finding evidences, this is usually supplemented by testimonial evidence in a letter date in case brought court of fiscal office. Since testimonial evidence may be given weeks, months, or even years after examination and report. So this is the time that the chemist must be fully prepared and refresh everything his memory by referring to his laboratory records book before presenting himself in court. It's because forensic chemist is usually supplemented by testimonials evidence in a later date if the case is brought to court or the fiscals, so that the chemist must be refresh everything and be preferred for the testimonial in court. And then the next is the role of chemists in scientific investigation. So there are 11 rule of forensic chemists in scientific investigation. So first, what does this mean? So a forensic chemist, as a man of science, performs laboratory examination or physical evidence submitted to the crime laboratory in order to expedite investigation of a crime by the investigating party. He or she has the following responsibilities. So first is conduct qualitative and quantitative determination of used drug as well as volatile substances. So what it is mean? In my own understanding, those those evaporated drugs must be conducted a qualitative and quantitative determination for sample. For example, is solvent, which comprises one of the other areas the minister wants examined. So that is the first rule in forensic chemist. And second is conduct chemical examination of explosive and or explosive ingredients. So it means this is the examination of explosive and or explosive ingredients. It means these are examination for those substances that can be made to explode, just like bombs or shells. So it needs to conduct chemical examination in the term of explosive or explosive, those things that explode. Okay, just like what I say, example is bomb or shell. Okay, let's proceed to number 3. Conduct examination of paraffin, gas, and firearms to determine the presence of gunpowder. So this is the third. This is the examination of paraffin, gas, and firearms to determine what is it kind of firearm by conducting examination of gunpowder nitrate. So that is necessary also to conduct examination in gunpowder nitrates to identify if what is that gun. And the next is conduct gunpowder examination on clothing for possible gunshot range. So this is also very important. This is the examination of gunpowder also on clothing for possible gunshot range. It means those gunpowder found in clothes that can be examined also to determine and find some evidences. And then fifth, conduct chemico-toxicological examination of human internal organs. Gastric contents, blood, water, food sample, and other substances. So this is examination of human in internal organs. Gastric contains blood, water, food sample, and other substance. If we talk toxicological, this is relating to toxicology. It means the pharmacology that deals with the nature and effects and treatments of poison. So that is about toxic. For example, for foods, if there is poison there, so that will be examined also to identify the the reason or those so to identify that case or what that reason what is that poison. So that is determination also. And then 7, conduct blood alcohol determination. So this is the examination of no. Number 6, rather. Conduct examination of fake products. Number 6, conduct examination of fake products in case of unfair trade competition. So this is the examination of those fake products in cases of unfair trade competition. If we say unfair trade, this unfair trade competition, this is talk about competitors who has unfair trade. So there will be also a examination on those fake products to have fair and not unfair trade. Okay? And 7, conduct blood alcohol determination. So this determination of alcohol in blood of a person, and it will be examined also so to determine those alcohol in blood. So there are examination also in blood to find those drug alcohol, rather, if there is alcohol in their blood. So that will be examined also. And then number 8, examines urine samples and other fluids for the presence of abused drugs. So if we say urine, so that is our in Bisaya pa iyan na to. So there are also examination for our urine sample and those another fluids in our body. It will be examined also to identify if there is drug abuse happen while investigating. So that will help also to resolve the problem and to determine if there is a drugs. And then 9 is conduct researches related to case being examined. So number 9, the researchers will conduct also those evidences relating to that case to identify and determine and have additional information about in that case. It's only related to that case. And then number 10, testify and give expert opinion in court. And testify, the expert must give um, expert opinion in court in order to help resolve the problem. Yeah? Testify and give expert opinion. So that is very understandable. Testify and give expert opinion in court, right? And then number 11, give lectures on forensic chemistry and chemical toxicology to various schools, universities, police training centers, and investigating units. So, in forensic chemistry, it must have lecture to the school, even in universities and police training centers and investigating units, because forensic chemistry is very useful and one of the most important to have even we're not a professional, but if we attend in the lectures, for example in the school, lectures about forensic chemistry, it may help us to enhance our knowledge about that forensic chemistry and chemical toxicology. So that will be must be have lectures on that in any universities, schools, and police trainings and investigating units to help us to resolve the problem and make it fast to us. Okay, and next is last number 12, response to queries of investigating units, and render expert opinion on matters related to the application of chemical principles for purpose of assisting investigators to develop investigative leads. So, this is the last. This is very clear, and we should need have response to queries for those questions of those people. We must need to give them response for queries of all investigation units and render expert opinion on matter related to the application of chemical principles in purpose of developing investigation lead. So that will give us a lead and more knowledge about that. So it could be have response to any queries of all investigation units. And then next, let's proceed to 6 golden rule and practice of forensic chemistry. So there are 6 golden rules. So if we say golden rule, so this is very important. This is the very important rule in the practice of forensic chemistry. So first is go slowly. Good work cannot be hurried, therefore take all the time necessary to make the case complete, no matter how urgent it may appear. So, this is need to have a time management to work with patience and complete it with right result, and have the time management to complete your work properly. So you need to have time management and patience in working that. That's why go slowly. So next is number 2, be thorough. Make careful and minute examination of everything, and do not satisfied with quantitative analysis. If a quantitative one is possible, it always pays to do too much rather than too little and difficult to foresee that will or not be required in court. This is the this is a time of working with careful work and examination of everything. In in everything we do, especially in examination, we must be careful so that we avoid any circumstances and any negative result in our examination. So we need be careful. So be thorough. And then third is take notes. Keep a full, neat, and clean record of everything seen and done. So in examination practice, we must practice to take notes. Everything is important in our examination with clean and neat records in books, and take note for everything important records and neat and clean. So that's very understandable. Take note with in clean and neat records so that it will be help us to give an evidence or have an clear result in our examination, because we have take down all details, description, and important information with clean and neat records. Okay, and then let's proceed to number 4, consult others. Many cases will lead the expert into paths with which he is not familiar, and when this happens, he should consult those who knows better. So, we must need to have a acceptance. So, if we don't know that part, we should need to ask someone who knows better than you, because that will help us to lead and help us to identify and knows better what is that mean. So we need to cooperate other people, not only in ourselves, especially if we don't know that. So we need someone who will help us, that person who knows better than us, okay? So consult others. And the next is use imagination. An expert with a wide and uncontrollable imagination is considered as the most dangerous creature. Though this being imaginative as someone useful, an expert witness does not to be solely imaginative, but he was be skilled in the field of forensic science. He must bear witness within limits of forensic. So in number 5, use imagination. We could say that having a wide and uncontrollable imagination is considered as the most dangerous. But for me, it may help us to identify if we have a wide imagination. But in a forensic chemistry, imagine having a wide imagination, we must have in a field in forensic science, because it needs to know has a field. You need to have a field in forensic science in using our use imagination, so that we have a background and have a limitation about using in our imagination. But it may help us to identify, analyze, and determine using our imagination. And number 6, the last golden rule in practice in forensic chemistry: avoid complicated theories. The simplest explanation of fundamental, the right one. Interpretation of result is often the most difficult part of the expert task. That is why a wide knowledge and scientific experience are essential elements to obtain the right forensic examination. So, in the title there, avoid complicated theories. So, it's very clear, avoid. So, in my own understanding, it may have only theories to avoid complication and have a right result in examination result. Because if we have many theories of many theories in examination, maybe it can be affect our examination because of many theories, so that we must need to choose one and have a right result in our examination. Just have only one theories. Avoid complicated theories. So that is number 6. So that is our 6 golden rules. So I will read back. First golden rule is go slowly. Second, be thorough. And then third, take notes. Number 4, consult others. Number 5, use imagination. And number 6, avoid complicated theories. So that is the 6 golden rules in practice of forensic chemistry. So let's proceed to the equipment used in forensic examination. The following are some of the most common laboratory equipment used in forensic examination. First is HPLC, or high-powered liquid chromatography. This scientific equipment is used for qualitative and quantitative determination of a volatile or non-volatile compound based on chromatographic separation of components. So, HPLC used for the qualitative and non-qualitative. It means those things can be counted and not be counted. So, this is the equipment that we use. High-powered liquid chromatography or HPLC. And the next is ultraviolet spectrophotometer is used for the qualitative and qualitative analysis of organic compounds. So this is one of equipment also in use in qualitative and quantitative analysis of organic compounds. And then if you observe in the HPLC or high powered liquid chromatography, this is used also for qualitative and qualitative, but this is for determination. Remember, high powered liquid chromatography is used for qualitative and quantitative determination. That is the term used in qualitative and quantitative determination, but in ultraviolet spectrophotometer used for qualitative and quantitative analysis, right? Analysis, quantitative and qualitative analysis in of organ compounds. Remember the differences. The HPLC is used for quantitative and qualitative determination, but the ultraviolet is used for quantitative and qualitative analysis of organic compounds. So let's proceed to the third, EMET or enzyme multiple immunoassay technique. Remember that EMET, if we abbreviate that, it's used for screening abused urine samples. So this is the equipment used in examination in our urine samples. And urine, it will be examined to identify some, for example, determination of alcohol in our urine or any drugs abuse happen in that person. So that this is EMET used in screening of abuse urine samples, right? Enzyme multiple immunoassay technique. Remember that. That is number 3 equipment. So in the fourth, let's proceed. SEM or SEM, scanning electronic microscope. This is scientific equipment is used for the physical identification of virus question specimen. It is a software controlled digital scanning electron microscope used to produce stacking image over a wide range of magnification 3 by 3 and rough or covered surface of minute specimens such as hair, fibers, paint particles, drug metals, and etc. So the SEM is one of the electronic microscope in the term of scanning electron microscope. This is the equipment used for the physical identification of virus question specimen. So this is the equipment will be used in the physical identification. For example, is as hair, fibers, paint particles, drugs or metals, and etc. This is the equipment will be used in physical determination of virus question specimen. This is the equipment will be used. Scanning electron microscope. Then next is number 5, the last equipment, FTIR or Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. Sorry if I can. No. Okay, Number 5. Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. Used for the identification of pure organic substance. It identifies organic substance, particularly abuse, drugs, and explosive ingredients based on their characteristic functioning groups. In layman's term, the resulting spectrum could be referred to as the fingerprint of the substance. So this equipment is one of the very used for identification of pure organic substances. This is the equipment will be used in the fingerprints, examination of fingerprints, and identification of four pure organic substances, and identifies in organic substance, particularly in abuse drugs and explosive ingredients. Those those ingredients explode, or those things that will go to explode. This is the equipment will be used on that kind of examination. So that's all in the five equipment. This that are the five equipment used in forensic examination. First is high powered liquid chromatography. Second, ultraviolet spectrophotometer. And then third, enzyme multiple immunoassay technique. And then fourth, scanning electron microscope. And five, Fourier transform inferred spectroscopy. So remember that five equipment in used for forensic examination. So
this image is high-powered liquid chromatography. This scientific equipment is used for the qualitative and quantitative determination of a volatile or non-volatile compound based on the chromatographic separation of its components. Second, ultraviolet spectrophotometer. It is used for the qualitative and quantitative analysis of organic compounds. And third is enzyme multiple immunoassay technique. It is used for screening of abused urine samples. Fourth, SIM or scanning electron microscope. This scientific equipment is used for the physical identification of virus equation specimens. It is a software-controlled digital scanning electron microscope used to produce sticky image over a wide range of magnification or covered surface of minute specimen such as hair, fibers, plant, particles, drugs, metals, and etc. And fifth is Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy used for the identification of pure organic substances. It identifies organic substances, particularly abused drugs and explosive ingredients, based on their characteristic functional groups. In layman term, the resulting spectrum could be referred to as the fingerprint of the substances.
that's all about in the chapter 1 is the introduction of forensic chemistry. So I hope that you have learned in my discussion, and thank you and